I'm gonna call finance to order. We're gonna do a little bit of finance here, then we're gonna adjourn, and then we are going to do kind of everything in order, and then go back to finance. But we're doing that because it's Arcadis, right? Arcadis is here, and I would let the mayor, kind of introduce everybody if you want.
Sure.
And then,
So,
I don't know if does that one work up there? I don't know how they do it, but yeah, go up to the podium and introduce yourselves or introduce them or
continuation
whatever.
of the meeting we had 2 weeks ago where we had Laura here and Joe, Sherry from Arcadis. They've been working on our two things. They've been working on our improvements to wastewater treatment plants in conjunction with our long-term control plan. And Laura is actually on the phone tonight, so she'll be with us to answer any questions about that. Joe he was the one that was the lead on the design plan that we're talking about, some of the different options. You've been working on that for over a year, and we presented that to you. And then Sherry is a financial rep, and she's been working on how that's going to affect rates.
She's going to get us the money, right?
She's got them. She got a check tonight, actually.
All right.
Actually, she's been working really hard on with a lot of different scenarios, and in that, I have a copy. I think I sent you a copy.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
In that is a concise, broken down, pretty narrowly. There's a lot more options than that, but generally what we're considering, or what your council is considering, are two different options. And one of them was to, both of them involve the high-rate treatment plant, which is the majority of the first one, and with some improvements to the wastewater treatment plant, which haven't had any major improvements in decades.
What'd you say, 1939?
19th, though, that was built then.
Oh, it's built in 39.
Tim, do you remember that?
2000, so.
So it's
yeah.
been 23 years on that, too. And the other option was a more expensive option, but it did allow us to improve what's called a loading, and I know Tim and Terry, they're experts in that. But that'll allow us to handle more capacity at the plant, which we need to, we should strongly consider doing that so we can attract new industry. So the last industry that we lost just didn't have enough capacity for them.
Right.
Yeah, and so, your decision, whatever the council decides to do, it'll set up Bucyrus in its future for many, many years. So I know you'll debate it and discuss it tonight. And Joe and Sherry are here to answer questions about the plant and about the financing. Laura's on the phone to answer any questions about the EPA and the long-term control plan.
Okay, so I guess we'll just open it to the committee or and anybody out there that has any questions about the wastewater treatment plant projects.
If I could, Dan,
Yeah.
I kind of want to just reference the option 2. We were given option 1, 2, and 3. Option 2 is the one that the mayor is talking about, where we get the high capacity, and it also is going to increase the loading side of things. It's never a popular decision when you're sitting up here to do something that's going to raise people's money coming out of their pocket coming to the city. But I try to put myself in that person's shoes. Would I be willing to spend some more money so that this city can thrive down the road? Like the mayor mentioned, we've lost industry and lost potential industry coming here because we didn't have the facilities to handle what they have. That alone makes us a no-brainer for me to say, well, yes, it's going to stink that we're going to have to all pay more money out of our bills, but we also had to do that on our water side of things, and look what we have from it. Call it an unpopular decision. Nobody's going to be thrilled that we're raising the rates, but hopefully the people have the ability to be thrilled that we're trying to take these appropriate steps so that we can grow, because the population decline has been such a problem for us. I think this is one of the ways to try to fix that and turn that around. So I'm just going to go on the record and say that I'm absolutely in favor of option 2, and those are the reasons why.
Okay. Anything, Terry?
The board would have been option 2 is the way we have to go. I know firsthand what the plant's like, what needs to be done. How many times we turn business, this just wasn't this one time. We had other ones that would come in. Wanted to start something up, we couldn't do it, especially food processing facilities, which you really want to get, because people's always going to eat. So option 2 is the one I'm all for. Yeah.
And if I could continue,
Yeah.
I did check with the administration. We do not need to do this as an emergency like we do many things on finance. It does have the ability. So that, it is a pretty big decision and a big deal, and it's going to affect a lot of people. So, running it through 3 readings does give the public the opportunity to come in, ask questions, learn about it,
Right.
and things like that. So,
And I do, okay, well, are you done? Okay.
For the moment,
Sorry.
yeah.
I had a thought, and if I don't get it out, I'll lose it. But I do want the public, if they have questions, contact, Terry will give you the, Terry ran that, so he knows.
Yep.
And of course, the administration and anyone on council will point you in the right direction if you want to know, what's going on, if you're sitting at home saying, what are they doing now, But the point I wanted to make was I stopped up to see some of the folks about this the other day and to, get a better understanding of it. And I came in thinking, we're strapped for cash. Let's just do option 1. Let's get through this. That was the way I came in. But then, as I thought about it, and you guys really didn't mention this, there's more grant money, and you would know this as the finance person. There's probably more out there than anytime I've been on council, and I got on just after they were just finishing up the downtown redevelopment or whatever, and that was government money that they gave us, And I think there's more out there right now. I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think there's more out there right now than there has been since that, which was 15 years ago. Yeah, was, or so, anyhow. So it's sort of like if we don't do it now, then we may get a lot of it for free, so to speak, through grants and low interest loans and things. But if we wait, then we're going to be, so then coming out of speaking with everyone, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe we should do option 2. It's sort of like that. We bought something, down here in Marion a while back, and it was, we could have paid cash for it, but it was like 0% interest. So, hey, why not? So we just strung it out for for 3 or 4 years, and it didn't cost us anymore. So it was, I think that's kind of where we're at now with this, that the money's available, we need to strike, kind of while the iron's hot.
Not only that, but the other point I'll make is, just on the years I've been here, we've kicked a lot of projects down the road, and I can't remember any time that it ever benefited us from doing that. The cost was always more later. So we have the need, we've got the means to take care of it now.
Well, an example of that is, and this was before, when Roger was here, we put the water plant on hold, and I may be off a little bit on this, but it was like, I can't exactly remember the cost, but we waited a couple years because we had some financial issues. We wanted to get that safety forces levy passed and stuff. But by waiting, we got a smaller water treatment plant for the same money that we would have like 2 years previous. So if we would have done it then, but that could have, we were looking at trying to get the safety forces levy passed and things. But yeah, that makes your point where, we got to get it as soon as we can, so. Anything? Go ahead.
Talk about the grants with you. What do you think are options as far as getting grants? Is it 50% maybe, you hope?
Well, I had looked at traditional funding sources and grants, and right now there's more federal funding going into the SRF programs than I think ever.
Yeah.
They have, more money. And like I talked about the last time, there's a lot of competition for those dollars, and readiness to proceed is, highly ranked. They go through, they have a scoring methodology when they get their nominations in. And oftentimes, a lot of communities will have the same score, they're very close, but they will select communities that are ready to proceed because, otherwise they don't want to see those dollars not get used in their fiscal year. So there definitely are opportunities here. There's certainly, assuming that EPA continues with the program, that it's, with offering some principal forgiveness. Right now they're offering, $4 million potentially, and I think the project would rank pretty high. The community certainly does qualify in terms of, the median household income, other things that they look at. But the thing that right now would be a strike against you is that readiness to proceed. I still think it's worth going ahead and putting in a nomination this month. The nominations for construction projects would typically be submitted in August. I think it's worth putting it on that list. Sometimes I think it's worth having it on the list maybe more than 1 year. EPA also has a pot of money that it oversees with the H2 Ohio Fund. They use that for kind of gap financing, trying to help get other projects over the finish line, so to speak. And there's other sources too. I think that potentially I had calculated maybe up to 8 or 9 million if you went for all of the funding sources out there. They may or may not be worth pursuing in some cases because, they're some of these, they have a few more hoops to jump through and potentially could extend, the time it takes to be able to go out to bid. But, I think right now it's worth pursuing. My recommendation was to certainly start raising the rates now, which I think is important to begin building a fund so that when loan payments do come around and you have to start paying on them, you have money saved that you can begin to draw on. And that will help so that you're not having to do a really sharp rate increase when the loan payments come due.
Yeah.
So however this plays out, regardless, that I would really recommend starting to do those rate increases. And then, as the funding comes in, hopefully it will be a better bidding climate then. Rates hopefully will have come down a little bit, interest rates. And, you'll be in a very good position then to take advantage of, whatever, grant funding programs are available at that time.
What about the Great Lakes Initiative? Is that grant still available? Do you know? For communities that's on the Great Lakes?
Right. I would have to look into that particular funding source. It's not typically been a traditional one for water and sewer in Ohio, but I can take a look at that. There are, of course, congressional appropriations too. Communities can try to work with their local congressman or one of the senators to try to get that. And certainly I think you have to point out the larger benefit, not just to the city, but also to all of the communities downstream and the communities that are on Lake Erie as well.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, Kevin,
Go ahead.
okay.
I wanted to point out too, I had a conversation with Jeff Dunn this week, and he did want to mention that if we were to raise the rates as we start, compiling some of that money to be prepared to pay this off, that we do also out of that need to get a second vacuum truck at a tune of about $600,000. That was something that he did share with me that I told him I'd pass on.
Okay.
So, as part of this project. But my question was going to be mainly to Tim and then maybe to Terry as well. You guys are the experts in this more than anybody else is. Can you tell me, is there any reason that we should be looking at anything other than the option number 2?
I'll let Tim ask, he's out there now.
Yeah.
Probably not. I've talked to Joe, and I guess I'm a little concerned that it's being overbuilt, and then to run it that way, but Joe assured me that we should be able to run it just fine, you know, with the extra tanks and our incoming load. I was a little concerned about that, but I don't see it being too much of a problem after talking to Joe.
And is my mindset correct that, you know, this is really the option that's going to allow us to potentially grow as a community down the road?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
I'd like to ask Joe to touch on the timeline. As you mentioned the last time, if council allows this project to go forward and we send it for nomination, what do you see as the timeline? Can you reiterate what you
Sure.
said a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I can kind of go through that. It's going to take time to implement this, so, you know, we anticipate there's probably about a year's worth of design work, you know, to come up with biddable plans and specifications. And then once you have plans and specifications, you have to advertise them for bids. You know, typically advertisement will take a month, month and a half, 2 months, and then there's time to award the contract, which is probably another 2 months on top of that. And then to construct the work, we're anticipating roughly 30 months to be able to construct it. You know, if it was a blank field, you know, with nothing on it, you could probably build a little bit quicker, but we've got to keep the plant running while we're doing these improvements. So that sequencing generally takes a little bit longer. But you add all that up, you know, the year for design, the award, and bidding, and construction, we're looking roughly 48 months. You know, it's about 4 years once we get to go ahead to start. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, one point I want to make, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Sherry.
Sherry, okay. Sherry, one point I want to make that Sherry was saying, going back to my experience here on council and things, but the reason we got the you know, if anyone remembers when we did the downtown, the reason we were planning that ahead of time, and then this money became available, so we were basically what they call shovel ready. And so that's why we got that, you know, and it paid for, well, you remember, you were here, it paid for all that. And we had the streets torn up and it was a mess, but it's a beautiful downtown now. So, but that was basically because we were ready. And so this is, you know, if we do this, this is, I'm hoping where we'll be shovel ready or whatever you want to call it. And then when they start awarding money, they'll say, well, give it to them, so.
What exactly are you asking from this committee? You're asking for a resolution to do what at this point?
A resolution to go forward with one of the plans. Choose which, out of the committee, then full council would vote on it.
Yeah.
Do we need to have full approval from council before the end of this month? Because I forgot about the nomination.
You don't need council approval to put a nomination
Okay.
in because
Okay.
it's not committing you to anything. It would be good to have an idea though, as far as how much you're
Okay.
going to apply for.
So if this committee were to request legislation for that, if we do 3 readings, the 3rd reading wouldn't be till September 19th. We're okay with that timeline?
We just probably talk about which project you want to
You would,
nominate.
yeah, you would nominate a project tonight.
Right.
Out of finance committee. The next full council meeting, which is in a week from next Tuesday, that comes to the first reading. Full council will vote on that. And then, because the second reading is the next meeting after, which would be the first meeting of September, the final reading that passes would be
September 19th.
September 19th, yeah. We'll have an idea tonight, really, how we're going to proceed, so.
Okay.
So, yeah, so let's not take I'm not taking a vote, but kind of a consensus, I guess. Maybe I'm overstepping my rules, but what's your consensus? You say I mean,
I say-
I'll go first. I say number 2, so
I say
whatever.
option
Option 2, yeah.
Absolutely.
What about you, Mark?
You're talking about option 2 on schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to do, unfortunately, we got to do it. Because like you said, Dan, you wait,
The
the
money
water
is.
treatment plant costs
she-
more when we build it.
Right. It came right out of her mouth. She says there's more money now than ever, so, out there, so.
So,
We hit 40% grant, or that would help a lot. So.
Yeah.
so I'll make a motion requesting legislation to move forward with option 2 as presented by Arcadis.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Dan, if I could.
Yes. Oh.
The city to grow needs pillars. One is the downtown, right? One is water, one is wastewater, one is safety forces, and one is housing. So we're going to have 3 of those already in place. The 4th will be wastewater, and then we're going to have to address the lack of housing too. So all those things are important for growth. So this vote is really, really important tonight. And I just hope, full council agrees and that we need to.
Well, I just want to tell you, you better get busy because you don't have much time to get this housing straightened out.
We gotta get this straight.
Okay? You and me both.
150 days.
You and me both, buddy. All right, so do we want to take a break and then let the,
Adjourn and then go back to
yeah,
service.
so I'll make I accept a motion to adjourn and then come back
I'll
later.
move that we adjourn at this time.
I'll second.
All in favor? I guess we have to do that.
6:22.
6:22, and then we'll come back, so now we'll get on schedule here with Service Committee, I guess, so.
I'd like to call the Service Committee meeting together to order at 6:24 PM. Members present are Steve Young, C. Aaron Sharrock, Britton Potter's absent, and myself as chairman. At this time, we're going to open up to the public for participation from anybody. For service, seeing none, we'll talk about open projects if anybody has any on their minds. Seeing none there. Again, there's open participation from the public. No. Okay. Seeing none, I'll make a motion or entertain a motion. You going to say something? No. Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn. Got a motion to adjourn, vote usual sign. It's adjourned at 6:25.
All right, we'll call health and safety to order at 6:26 PM. Members present are Dan Wirebaugh, Steve Young, Mark McKeever, and myself, Chair. Is there any public participation for health and safety? Seeing none, our first item is the traffic control map changes. I'll read again the letter that was dated July 20th. Dear Health and Safety Committee, the City of Bucyrus Traffic Commission would like to recommend one amendment to the traffic control map, and that is to remove the no parking on the south side of Clinton Street for the entire length. The no parking was passed on April 18th, 2000 by Resolution 25-2000. The traffic control map page and legislation is attached for your reference. So they're saying that in 2000, we added the no parking, and now they want to remove the no parking.
But yeah, that makes your. And who wants to do this?
Just,
The admin,
The Traffic Commission.
oh, Traffic Commission, okay. Wait, where? On Clinton Street's down by the,
Soccer fields.
yeah.
Yeah. In 2000, it was a little bit different of an area than it is now.
Yeah,
There was a
yeah.
lot of houses down there. Now there's pretty much nothing.
So we're removing no parking.
We're
so-
removing the no parking, therefore allowing for parking on Clinton Street.
All right, yeah. I'll make a motion to, whatever we have to do.
Your motion would be to remove the no parking on the
Yeah.
south side of Clinton Street for its entire length.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Wirebaugh, and a second by Mr. Young. I suppose.
Aaron Sharrock, 1485 Oak Ridge Drive. Have any of you been down there during soccer games? Did
No.
anybody talk to the soccer people about whether or not that would be safe for the kids? Like, it's congested. People park on the one side as it is.
It's Clinton Street's the second street from the soccer field.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, I would definitely check it out before I fully pass that through, just to make sure it doesn't create a safety issue. Because there's, I
Well,
mean, we got a lot of kids down there.
Police department and fire department both were at the meeting for this.
Fire department was okay with it?
They both were, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say,
However, I'll vow to go down and take a look at it before we vote on it at the next Tuesday
I mean,
meeting.
I just wouldn't want to push it through and then have something happen. That's all.
Yeah, Jeff Dunn's there, so he gives the aspect of can garbage trucks fit down through things and snow plows. The police department, fire department, they all have a say-so in it. So the traffic commission it went through them to come to us to make the change in the book. So I have a motion by Mr. Wirebaugh and a second by Mr. Young. Any other further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? All right, that motion carries. Open projects, Mr. Wirebaugh, I hear you have a list.
No, not a list, I just have a couple items that I think we need to, well, first was, and is the vacant, I believe this is health and safety, the vacant property registration, Mr. Law Director. We've been working on that for several years. I really think we need to get this done. And I don't know what we need to do. What do we need to do to make this happen in the next few months?
So there's a couple different versions that we've played around with down in the law director's office. I know Rob had started to prepare some different stuff. So I can bring you guys some options at the next help.
Yeah, I would like to get something and try to get it on the books, because just driving around, I see that, and
Yeah,
couple
absolutely.
things I would like to, I mean, and I might be off base here, and I'm sure you guys will tell me if I am, but, I think we should, whatever the registration and stuff is, I think we should double up on whatever that fee is for the business districts, because we have buildings sitting on our business districts vacant that we're probably going to end up with someday, because they're going to fall apart. Well, there's one,
The Huntington building for one.
yes, half of that building was destroyed from a flood. I don't know if you guys know, but, and the gentleman, I've actually, been in there and seen that, and the gentleman thinks he's still going to get a really good offer off of it, but I don't believe he is. But I think it would entice him to get rid of that building. And there's a couple others. And that's not really a building. It's more of an empty lot on where the Dodge garage used to be. And that, what I heard was that had EPA issues, whether it does or not, I don't know. But are we going to end up with that? It's going to be a Dudley Street or a Kroger thing, thing behind Kroger. I don't know, but we need to persuade people to do something with these properties.
Where's the Dodge garage at?
Oh, across.
Where the food truck has been
Oh, I was
set
gonna say,
there
they have yeah.
Yeah, but,
before your time.
No, I thought that's what you were talking about, and the
Yeah.
guy just, Tom Kibler just put in his food truck there.
yeah, so, I'm like, okay, well, we need to do something with these. It's not helping our city when, we did do well with Freddy's, or whatever it's called, Good Eats or Freddy's. We got that taken care of. That was an eyesore, but when people drive through and we have these eyesores, we're not going to attract businesses, we're not going to attract people, we're not going to. So, that was my thing. I guess I really want to move forward on the vacant property registration. There's a house on Whetstone Street, right at Auto Avenue. I'm sure maybe some of you know. It's been vacant since the people moved
That's
out.
under contract and closing tomorrow.
Yeah, so then
Someone
that,
just bought that.
that brings me to another,
Oh, jeez.
that brings me to a whole nother thing, is when these properties Now, we know that's got to have some type of issue with it.
They have been.
Through
they
property
understand
maintenance?
that The
So-
foundation has issues. and-
Right. Why, we should not be letting, I don't know how we do it, you're the law guy, so I don't know how we do that to keep that from being sold as a wreck, you know? It's like, hey,
So
you
the guy that-
got to get this repaired or tear it down in the next 90 days. I don't
Right.
know what it is.
Yeah, and you can do that, but then what do you do when they don't comply and the guy lives in Texas? So the buyer is a guy from Marion that has come to our community and fixed up multiple houses. So they had to approach the law director's office prior to allowing that sale to go through, because it is condemned. And it was my belief that that would be a lot easier to get compliance out of a guy
Yeah.
in Marion as opposed to Texas.
Right, okay. Well, and
Yes, but those-
so we are doing that. but-
Technically, when it's condemned, you can't transfer that property.
Okay.
And realtors understand that, so they have to call and get, submit a plan of action to the law director, the property maintenance. And that guy has fixed up multiple properties, then he has been through it and he understands what a wreck it is.
Is that
I
inability
think
to
he's-
transfer a ordinance of ours, or is that in the ORC, or where is
It's
that
in-
prohibited from?
Our property maintenance code.
Okay.
I think
International Property Maintenance Code.
Yes.
Okay, so, and which brings me to another one, there's other properties that, and I hate naming names and stuff on people, but,
Yeah.
or not, I'm not naming any names, I'm just saying where the properties are, but these are on Elm Street. There's one of the properties there on Elm Street, I see it's, it says it's a pending deal going through, and it had to be condemned because it's just, I saw that one also, so.
Not sure about Elm, but I can.
It's
look at-
the apartments on Elm, apparently it's pinned, that I saw.
They were for sale as a large package of multiple,
Yeah, well, my understanding was the person was forced to sell these through court, some type of court thing. But anyway, like I say, I don't want to get too, I don't know, this is just secondhand information, but I do know that there's two buildings, the one building is not livable.
Right.
I was told that by the realtor that, oh, it's not livable, it's got black mold. So is it going to continue to sit there? We sell it to someone and then it continues to sit there and kids break in and who knows what. But, okay, I just wanted to bring
on
that
that
up.
topic, any further news on the one near the intersection of Mary and Tiffin?
Yeah, we're in court. We have him served and he showed up to his arraignment, so we'll have a pretrial in a couple weeks. and,
Okay.
He indicated to me that it's all cleaned up, and there's no issue.
Yeah.
I just drove by there and make
Oh, I
sure.
know. We were sending Gordon out there today to take pictures, but
Yeah.
yes, that one is moving.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so I'll wind up here. Anything you can do, I would really like to see that vacant
Yes.
property registration
We've had it a couple
through
different.
this council before I leave, so.
Let's bring your current version to our next committee meeting, and,
Yeah. We can talk about it.
all right. Is that the end of your list, sir?
That's the end of my spiel, I
Mr. Young,
guess.
do you have anything? Mr. McKeever? All right, is there any public participation for public lands and buildings?
Health and safety.
I just read that on my paper. I'm on health and safety.
Okay.
I just happened to glance down at it and see that. Yeah, health and safety, public participation.
Jay Vermillion, 515 Hill Street.
At the previous, I believe it was council meeting, Mr. and Mrs. Dunn were here to speak about the feral cat issue on the north end of town. Living a block away from them, it is an issue. Half of my house is subterranean and the rest of it's up. And we have 4 windows subterranean at ground level and constantly with markings. So I'm not sure what can be done about feral cats, but it is an issue. And I believe once we take down the buildings behind Kroger's, which is a colony of feral cats, it's going to be more of an issue.
I know you were checking.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. You were checking with the county, and I think what we determined was the dog warden just simply does dogs.
Correct. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Because she's under the commissioner.
Right, so we don't have anybody else that's currently doing anything.
No. So, I mean, legally, you can privately trap them and take them to the Humane Society.
That is if they have the doors open.
Well, they have boxes.
Keep the doors unlocked.
They have the overnight
Safe
box.
surrender box or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll talk with the Humane Society to see, I know that they had talked about employing an agent of our own, which, you know, I mean, that would be $100,000, $150,000 by the time we get everything that we need and pay. But, you know, I can talk to the Humane Society and see what they have. But I know, you know, in Crestline, they took a lady, she had like, I don't know, 52 feral cats coming in and out of her house, and they took them all. Now, they probably euthanized most of them.
Yeah.
which-
Well, we can do some research to see what other communities are doing about this problem, and you can check with them, and then we can put that on our next agenda as well.
Right.
Okay. All right, seeing no other public participation, we will adjourn health and safety at 6:39 PM.
All right, I'm going to call Public Lands and Buildings Committee to order at 6:40 PM. Members present are Kevin Myers, Dan Wirebaugh, and myself, Sierra and Sharrock Chair. Brenton Potter is not with us this evening. Do we have any public participation? Seeing none, do we have any open projects we need to talk about tonight?
I just have you heard anything on the Pines yet? I haven't been able to get a hold of that
No.
guy yet, so.
Yeah, Ray reached out to me the other day and said he hadn't heard anything, and he thought you had talked to that gentleman from the Conservancy.
He had called me once, and then he said he was getting back in touch with you, so.
Yeah, and I've never talked to him. He says he's tried to get a hold of me. I've never had a call or email from the
Yeah,
fella.
not exactly sure.
Yeah, I spoke to him, and he guaranteed me that he would have something by the end of the year on that. But I do have to get back with him, and Ray had touched base
Yeah.
with me too, and I appreciate Ray trying to keep us on top of this.
I 100% appreciate
Yeah.
Ray. He's been doing so much.
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously, he's not one that just says, here's a problem and walks away.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, what can I do to help? And
And
I
I've
love
talked
that. We need more.
I've talked to the Park District, as you guys may have too, I just want to keep this open and
Yes.
that let people know we are working on this. But talked to the Park District, and, you know, he has a lot of projects going on. He says if the conservatory can get this going, they would be willing to accept that property at
Yeah,
some point. so.
That's what he said to me too.
Okay. That's
So,
good to hear.
I think we're on the right track. I would just
We
really
just
like
need
to.
to find out what's going on with them. see
Yeah,
what-
so I will try to get a hold of Joe, or if, Joe's his name, right?
Yeah.
Joe's. And when he said Joe over here, I was thinking, I got my Joes mixed up, but anyhow, I will put that on my list of things to do, so. Okay, that's all I have on open projects.
And do we have any other public participation? Okay. Well then, I guess we will adjourn at 6:42 PM.
Okay, I will call plating to order at 6:43 PM. Members present, Kevin Myers, Dan Wirebaugh, Terry Spiegel, and myself, Chair. Any public participation? Okay. Well, we have on the agenda the Morton Lindlayer sewer, but we don't have any information, nobody's here. So we will continue that.
Let's table that if we could, and then discuss it at our next meeting.
Yep. And of course, we got housing on here, and a certain person in zoning is on vacation this week, so he had information that
Oh, he had information on.
he had information he was going to bring.
Okay, we'll table that too.
Yep.
I don't know if I need a motion, or we'll just table it, I
It's
guess.
still open.
Yeah.
So, any open projects? Okay. Any public participation? Okay. There none being, I will adjourn at 6:44 PM. All right. right, I will call economic development to order at 6:45. Members present, C. Aaron Sharrock, Steve Young, and myself as acting chair. Brenton Potter is absent. Is there any public participation for economic development?
Oh, I have some. Yeah, I have some.
Talk about annexation?
Yeah.
Well, that's up next.
Oh, you want to wait on that? Okay.
Well, just stay standing.
Just, might as well go up there, nobody else is participating, so.
Annexation, public participation on annexation.
So before you rock and roll,
Yeah.
I was doing research this afternoon, and I haven't, I didn't have the app, and I tried to print it, but the printer in the basement doesn't work. The case law basically says, if the law says in that city that if you're receiving public utilities from the city and you're not annexed and you're contiguous, we could theoretically, as the city, choose to shut them off as long as we don't have a contract saying that we will not shut you off. Water and sewer, which is harsh and archaic, but that's the state of the law at this point. So I think we have more clout than I had originally believed.
Okay, well, that's good, and I don't want to do that. I mean, I don't want to do that. I was elected to represent the citizens of Bucyrus, okay? So, and while I've been on council for whatever, 10 years or so off and on, we've passed the safety service levy, we've passed, the street levies a couple times. We just passed this new safety service or safety forces levy or whatever. Now we want to built a water treatment plant for drinking water. Now we need to do so we're spending a lot of money since I've been on council. We've spent a lot of money, and some of these people that live on the outlying areas, I'm not picking on them, but I'm like, okay, you're getting the things that the citizens of Bucyrus have paid and worked for. Join us, That's all I want. That's all I'm saying is, we need that income tax credit. Now, I'm predicting within a year, that the next administration, the next council will have to put that or whatever it is, the one the mayor's been wanting us to put on. I don't think they'll have anything other, it's the only way they'll be able to get money, because we've got police and fire contracts coming up, and they're going to need to do that. We need money, We're not getting any new industry. We can get a little bit through just asking these people who've been receiving our services to join the city. That's basically all we're asking. And I just really would like to see something, like I say, before I leave here the end of the year. And one of the things I think I brought up was that I think the easiest way, at least to begin, is to, when someone comes to get water, sign up for water. If their house or their property falls within the guidelines of our annexation policy, then they need to, like our annexation policy says, to sign on their deed that says, they will annex when they become contiguous, or if they are contiguous, and that's what the
Right.
annexation says. So all I'm asking is that the administration follow the law that we wrote several years ago. So basically, that's, I've been, and I talked to, we've got this water plant that we're going to have to do. Everybody's rates are going to be going up, so, that money could go right into the general fund. We can spend it anywhere. We can spend it fire, police, wastewater treatment. So that's my thing. I'm just really, really trying to get this, if we're going to grow, we need to grow around us, you know. We can't grow within our little thing and then give everybody, you know, our benefits. So that's all I have.
Mark?
Yes. Go ahead.
I agree with him on that, but I also want to remind people, because the second we say the word annexation, we have at least one voice that yells, Temkin. Unless there's a wall around the city that I don't know about that's owned by Temkin, I'm pretty sure we can annex out through all sorts of spaces other than just one building. Just saying, I really, you know, going after one specific group isn't the thing. We need to actually talk to the people around us and start annexing and figure out ways to work together with the townships and us. And, I mean, Mr. Gerner's house is annexed with the township, and, you know, we can all work together.
The thing also you got to know about is state law showing annexation, even though we get it and the voters approve it to annex in, or the residents, it takes quite a few years before the money shifts from the township to the city.
The real estate portion.
Hmm?
The real estate portion, but not the
That's what
income
I'm
tax.
saying.
Not the income tax, though.
Correct, I'm just saying.
But yes, but every little bit's gonna help. And,
Correct,
you know,
I'm just saying that we got to go in with our eyes open. It's not going to be instantaneous.
Well, there's nothing that's instantaneous except for maybe winning the lottery.
No, if you win.
But
So,
Had this been done a decade ago
When
when
they
the
were
law was
supposed to.
written,
that's correct.
When I first started complaining,
Yep. That's right.
let the
So,
record show, I didn't complain.
okay. Steve, do you have anything?
Not this time.
Okay. Okay. Is there any open projects? Is there any public participation other than Dan? Okay. With that, I'll call it adjourn at 6:52.
Back to order, and I think
Wait a minute.
You're
good. Good?
Oh, you good? Okay, I'm sorry.
6:53.
6:53, I'm calling us back into order. Mark McKeever, Kevin Myers, Terry Spiegel, and myself, Chair, are here. We have, well, we'll start at the top again. Any public participation for finance? There we go. I think I skipped that last time. I didn't want to skip it this time. Get two chances.
What's that? I get two
Get
chances?
chances.
Great. Greg White, 1125 Hillcrest Drive. What I heard earlier by the people for the wastewater treatment plant is that, are you going to have public hearings? Okay? The people of Bucyrus should have a right to voice their concerns, not to come just to Finance Committee, but in a public, open forum to
I believe
understand.
if there's federal money involved in something.
It has to be
You have to be.
by federal law,
Yeah.
okay?
We'll
So
have it.
I want to make sure that you guys were aware of that, because you have to have 3 public, open forums, must publicize it in the paper, okay, to give the residents, and it has to be on different dates and times so that all residents are allowed to attend and understand that they're going to be paying more sewer tax for 4 years prior to this project being completed. Am I correct in making that statement for what you said earlier?
I think so.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Because you said we're
It's not
going
a
to...
tax, it's a rate.
It's a rate
Sewer
increase
rates,
that
yes.
taxpayers are going to be paying for 4 years prior to this project being completed, if they get the 40% grant.
If they do.
If they do. So what happens to that money that if you do not get this grant? Are the taxpayers going to be reimbursed?
It's quite the opposite. The schedule that we were given was worst-case scenario. If we get no grants, this is what the rates are proposed to be.
Yeah.
Any grant money that comes in will lessen that burden.
Right.
So
Okay,
this
well,
is
you guys didn't explain that.
No.
It was not explained in
It wasn't
this.
the last meeting, I apologize. They
Okay,
didn't
well-
get that. But yeah, so what happens?
That's what I'm
is-
saying. I think the public has a right to come up and express their opinions.
Well, that's why we asked to do it in three meetings and not one.
Okay, but 3 open public forum meetings.
Yeah, it'll be, for the legislation that we requested tonight, will be at the next 3 council meetings,
Right.
which are open to the public.
Right, but you have to have 3 public open meetings.
We do not have to have a public hearing to
You can
request
have-
legislation.
They'll be considered a council meeting, an open forum meeting.
But see, nobody knew about this. This was sprung out
Well,
today, so
They knew
you
about it
can't.
'cause we had it last.
Well, I understand, but they were here for the first time.
Not tonight. They were here 2 weeks ago. Talking about it.
And they were here several months
But
ago.
did
This has been
you
going on for a couple
tell
of
the
years.
people, the residents, that this is what's going to happen?
It's advertised every,
No.
twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yeah, we
Okay, I'll
advertise, or
check.
twice
Thank you.
every meeting. So it would, Greg, it wouldn't be advertised any differently than a regular meeting, so I don't know.
We can put it in the paper. I mean, it has to be reported here to put it in the paper, so. All right,
Moving on. So firearms equipment purchases for the police department. Apparently they want some money, huh? Apparently we don't know.
Apparently, we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
From her referral, she said they were working on it and didn't have it all figured out yet.
Oh, okay.
Just wanted to leave it in.
Dudley Street demo, I bet we got somebody who knows something about that.
Well, the
Oh, okay.
OPWC project, also, they asked to have that referred, but there's nobody here with information on that tonight, so I'd like to table that
Oh,
as
that's the
well.
old that's a different one. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking that was the one we just
Nope.
did, because I crossed it off.
So I'll ask that we table both,
Okay.
both of those two. And the Morton Lynn Lair from this committee.
And Morton Lindlair, so what about Dudley Street? Got anything on that?
So like I said, I got a quote when they went through originally to do the asbestos inspection when we were trying to demolish it. I don't know if it's still good or not, but at that point it was $26,000. But before they would do that, somebody has to clean it out because it's chock full of junk. So I haven't talked to Jeff Dunn to figure out whether or not the streets department would be able to do that, or if we would have to hire like one of those cleaning crews to basically rent some dumpsters, throw all the crap out, and then $26,000 to get the asbestos out of it, and probably another $10,000 to $15,000 to knock it down. When we were doing budget cuts, my demolition budget went from 30 to 10, and I was
Right.
hoping that I could use that 10 to do the Warren Street house that's caught on fire twice now. And so probably another 35-ish or 40,000 would probably be necessary to get Dudley torn down. And so I don't know.
To get Dudley taken care of as well as the Warren Street?
No, in
In
addition.
addition.
Okay,
another
yeah.
40
The current 10.
minimum.
That's fine, because, yeah, I don't want to see Dudley leapfrog over the Warren one, but I want to see them.
No, Warren's got to come down. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I haven't advertised for Warren because this kept coming up, and I don't know if we would get a better rate and have both of them demolished as opposed to just one.
Just a thought, if you put like garage sale sign out front, could you?
Free take, what you want?
Free for the taking.
I have a lot of thoughts that I'm not allowed to talk
Okay.
about.
You know, we had a conversation several months ago where I had asked you guys to consider moving some of the remaining ARPA money, and I know I'm not calling it exactly what it is, it was ARPA the first time around, but whatever that money was that came from the federal government. You know, I had asked to move it towards police and fire salaries, and that didn't seek favor on this committee. What about using some of that money for this instance instead? Or do you know, it's sitting there, it's got to be used for something by a certain date. You know, I still think police and fire salaries is where it belongs, but that's an option to get this taken care of, you know. Otherwise, he's never going to have the money to do it.
Yeah.
What's the date when the money runs out?
At the end of next year, if I remember correctly, the end of '24, I think.
How much money do we have in there, do you remember? It's like 200 and some
I was thinking it was a
thousand.
little more than that. I was thinking it was
Right.
over. I was thinking it was in the 3 or 350 range, but I don't have my trial balance with me.
That's something,
Isn't it
that's something we'd have to ask,
Yeah, because
all of it.
one of the allowable expenses on that is for replacing other funds. So
Wouldn't we have-
revenue replacement.
wouldn't we have to ask Oliver to see if we can do that in that fund?
Well, it would be revenue replacement,
Yeah.
so it can go into the general fund for that.
I wouldn't see nothing wrong.
I still think we need to have that conversation to make sure we're going to be solvent in our police and fire salaries first.
Yeah.
But if we are, then that's an option for this.
Yeah.
So what do we table that to our next meeting and ask those questions?
Yep.
Yeah, we
Maybe
can't make
when
a,
auditor is here, it would be beneficial to
Yeah.
understand
Right.
what
Where we're at.
But, I mean, that's, since I started, that's, that and Warren Street were the two, well, the two on Warren Street, but the bank took the one that's gonna knock that one over for us. Not the bank, the dentist's office.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll table that, and then maybe we can get something from maybe we can get a report from the auditor and law director on that, maybe at our next council meeting, and then by our committee meeting, we can make a decision then.
That's great.
If, that way we're not
Great,
dragging our feet too long.
great.
So, okay. Okay, we tabled that. We tabled a lot. Any open projects for finance? All right. Any more public participation? All right, with that, let's adjourn at 7:02.